Welcome back, my friends, to the Moto Guzzi show that never ends. It's hello from him and it's hello from Sasha the Guzzi dog. Sasha, say hello. Hello. What are we doing today, Sasha, apart from trying to catch flies? We're doing the big reveal of the Moto Guzzi Eldorado. Well, there she is. She is 95% finished, legal for the road. Just a few bits and bobs to do, nothing majorly serious. Took her out yesterday for a ride yesterday afternoon. Did how many miles? Did 8 miles yesterday. I called at a friend's house and I managed to bullshit the rest of the evening away. So yeah, so she ran well. She ran very well. I may have to change the carburetor jetting, but apart from that, everything works. The lights all work, the brakes even work. Front brake is good. I won't say it's the best front brake I've ever had, because it's not. But it still probably needs to clean itself up and bed in a bit. You know, the pads need to bed in and the disc needs to clean itself up a bit. After all, I don't think this bike has been used seriously since 1983. It was imported into Canada from the US. It came from North Carolina, as far as I can tell. I found a license plate for North Carolina, dated 83. I think the person that imported it into Canada purchased it either online or by some other means, sight unseen. I don't think he used it much. He did tell me he put new tyres on it when he first had it. And the tyres I've still got the mould marks on it, the chicken strips or the fear nipples, depending on what country you come from. And the ones are still, the little bumps are still on the centre of the tyres. So they've done 0 mileage or very, very little mileage. The bike was a non-runner. He admitted he hadn't started it for quite a while. I think he had it for 10 years or more. It was stored under a tarp. As with most Guzzis of this age, the paint on the frame is a bit thin, so the paint was sandblasted off and redone. Supposedly with some hard epoxy paint, which turned out not to be so. Originally the bike was going to be black and I was going to do it all in that hard epoxy, but it turned out to be crap paint. So I decided to give the bike a bit of colour. Now black is okay as long as it turns out perfect, and I was determined to do everything on this bike, and indeed I have, apart from Nickersill lining the cylinders. Obviously that's not a thing you can do in your garden shed. They were sent off to Millennium in Winnipeg and came back, and they did an excellent job, and they machined the barrels and everything to fit the existing pistons, and the pistons in this thing were like new. So I think the 25,000 mile indication on the Speedo is correct. Indeed, you know, the state of the cylinder heads was conducive with that amount of wear. Only had to replace one exhaust valve, which had been left open with the engine being, you know, stood. It got a bit of corrosion on it, and you know, in a pinch I could have used that again, but for the sake of $26, it wasn't worth it. You know, I just got a new exhaust valve, put it in, cleaned the ports up a little bit, not much. Went through the carbs. By and large, they were fine. Went through the whole engine, which you've probably seen in previous videos. Everything was checked. The crank was checked with a micrometer, and that proved to be fine, unworn. The big end bearings were just showing a little bit of wear. Now, ordinarily I would have put them back in, but as this engine had the chrome coming off one of the bores, actually this one this side, although the chrome hadn't been round the engine, the flakes were still stuck in the sludge in the bottom of the oil pan. I decided, you know, for what it was going to cost, to just put some new big end shells in. They were standard size. The main bearings looked okay, so I reused them. New oil seals front and back on the engine. Generator dynamo was reconditioned by me with new bearings, a thorough clean up of the commutator. Same with the starter motor, that was cleaned up by me. Both commutators were running the lathe and just tidied up a little bit. They weren't too bad. I rebuilt the solenoid underneath the starter motor and put it all back together, and everything seems to work fine. A new clutch, obviously. The old clutch was well and truly worn out. Checked through the gearbox, which it had water in, put new bearings in that. New U-joint, which was totally knackered, and was probably the reason that this bike was parked up. It won't be the first Guzzi to be parked up because of a buried up U-joint. And also rebuilt the final drive, which had been run with water in it and was toast, so I managed to get hold of a second-hand one, which was not cheap, but it was in excellent condition, so I didn't mind spending the money. So the two major costs were the rear end and the lining the cylinders. Everything else was normal wear and tear, and just about what I expected to have to do. The colour scheme, like I said, we started off black, but the paint wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and I like a bit of colour on the bikes too, so I went with, I got several cans of dark blue from local automotive store and tried them out, and this is a colour that I adopted in the end. It's a Ford colour, it's Ford Royal Blue, and it very closely matches the blue that Moto Guzzi have painted the new V7 850 Special with, and it's a colour that I really like. I think it looks very smart, so I got as close as I could to that. Now the paint scheme is not standard, obviously. The Guzzi Eldorado this year came in black or white, and I don't like white bikes. Black is nice, but there was a lot of heavy pinstriping on that, and as I am trying to do everything myself, indeed I have on this bike apart from the cylinders, I wanted to try out pinstriping, which I've never done before, but I thought it was a bit too ambitious to do the full pinstripe detail on this bike. But not only that, but I wanted to get a look that was halfway between the very ornate Eldorado and then the much simpler original V7. I think the original V7 looks a little bit plain, and I think the Eldorado is a little bit too ornate. So I wanted to hit the middle ground, and so this is what I chose to do. Now, the tank logo is not your standard Moto Guzzi. Although it's a Mandello Eagle, it's a Mandello Eagle off the, I think it's the 1949 Gambelunga. I've beefed it up a bit, given it a good dinner and made it a bit fatter, just to suit myself. And originally I was going to go and get some decals made for it, but in the end I decided to just paint it myself. I'm not going to show you any closer because the closer you get the worse it looks, but that was the effect I wanted to get, and I think I've achieved it. Also, I've given it a bit of an Italian stripe here, giving it, I may wanted that to look like a Italian banner that was draped over the front mudguard, and I've given the pinstripe a bit of Italian flavour there too. The seat is that Yamaha XS650 seat, which I've adapted to fit this bike. It seems to fit quite good and it's quite comfortable. It's not particularly good looking, but I'll just use it for now and try it out, and maybe I'll get it professionally recolored, or maybe I'll get one of the police replica type seats, which I think look good on these bikes. Didn't want a dual seat. The bike did come with a dual seat. The base was rotted out, but the top wasn't too bad. It needed a new cover, but I like the single seat look on these bikes, and I very rarely carry a pillion, and I've got other bikes that can take pillions on. The silencers are Brooklyn's cans. You can see they're genuine because of the name tag on them. No, they're not. Actually, I made them. And that was good fun making those. Experimented a bit with them. Took a few days to try different variations and ended up with this. And I really like the sound. It's a little bit rorty, but not too bad. The pipes, I used the old ones. They were a little bit rusty and a bit marked. There was chrome in places and not others. So I painted them with a darker version of the engine paint that I used on the engine. We'll see how that goes. I'm not going to buy new chrome ones or stainless ones because they're very expensive, and I don't think they're going to go with the old Brooklyns. So we'll see how the Brooklyns fares, how it weathers. It was treated with linseed oil, and then I burnt the linseed oil off. So it's sort of a mill scale. We'll see what happens there, and then I give it a rub every now and then with copper coat on a rag, and indeed that's what I do on the exhaust pipe. If it all works out okay but it corrodes, what I'll do is I'll make one out of stainless, the whole thing out of stainless, which shouldn't be too bad. Now, the bike itself, amazingly the speedo works, and equally amazing the rev counter works. The rev counter glass is broken, and that's the way it came. But it works. So what I did was I ran some super glue in the cracks and then wiped it off. So hopefully the weather won't get in through the cracks, but I'll leave that for now. I'll look at getting a new glass if I can. I've made a little jig so that I can take these bezels off without ruining them. So we'll see what happens there. But it works, so it's going to stay. Idiot lights all work. Headlamp, you'll notice, is not a Guzzi, it's actually a Lucas. Our bike didn't come with a headlight, and I asked around on Facebook pages for a headlight. Nobody had one. I looked on eBay and they were all stupid prices, and some of them were just absolute wrecks. But I managed to find this in my box of bits. It's a Lucas, and it fitted. Didn't have a headlight, so I looked around and I found a headlight and a rim on the Land Rover, old Land Rover. So I pulled them off, just the right amount of pattern. The hole obviously is where the ammeter went. I'm not using an ammeter, but I'll find an instrument to fill that later. The wiring at the moment is still not finished at the front end. I've left it bare so that I can wire in some auxiliaries, some auxiliary lights. This is just temporary, please ignore it. I'll put in some auxiliary lights. The ones I want to use look very much like these. These are toast, obviously. But if I can find something that looks like that in an LED, but without it looking grossly like an LED, that's what I'll use. This was the bracket that held the lights, and when we shot blasted it, you can see the crappy welding was covered up with Bondo, which is body filler, and there's no way I'm going to use that on my bike again, so I'll make something. Right, that's it. I just wanted to show you the bike. If you've seen the other videos, you know some of the changes I've made, and all of this here was originally fitted to that bike. I don't know what this weighs, but it is quite a bit, quite substantial. I mean, some of these brackets are made out of 1/4 inch steel. There's loads of them. There's footboards, there's more brackets, there's little shiny bits to cover stuff up, there's air horns, there's compressors for the air horns, there's these bags which actually aren't too bad, but they're way too big for me. And there's some of the rear lights that were on it, not all. This is the fairing, and it's got amber spots, it's got extra turn signals on it, and originally I thought it was a Vetta, but it's not. It's actually an Eldorado. And it's got everything in here that you would ever want. It's got extra gauges, it's got a radio, there used to be a CB up here, it's got speakers down there, little pockets to put your crap in, everything you can imagine. A crash bar for the bags, crash bar for the top case, which actually I'm going to keep. I've painted it blue, I'm going to keep that. And then this rack here, chrome rack, which obviously fitted on the back. So if anybody is interested in this stuff, let me know. I'm not going to fit it to my bike, but if it's of use to somebody, just get a hold of me. Because I'm not going to be using it, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to go into storage. So yeah, that's it. So there's the rear view. Ignore that, she is legal for the road. I just don't want to show my plate to everybody. Everything's pretty much the same on this side. The hand grips are just red hockey tape for now, until I decide what kind of hand grips I really want to put on it. I want to try out the vibration on a reasonably long ride. Although yesterday my impression was that the bike doesn't vibrate hardly at all. It vibrates a bit at low revs, but once you're above tick over or idle, it just smooths out and goes. Engine pulls very strong. You absolutely know you've got an engine down there. Not like some modern bikes which give you the wuzzy feeling that, yeah, there's something down there producing power, but it doesn't have any character and I can't really tell how hard it's working. Now this engine, you know, you can feel it. You can feel every pulse in the engine, which is what I really like. It feels alive. It feels very much alive, and it has a character, it has a personality. And you have to respect its personality if you want to get the best out of it. I can't think of anything else. I've probably repeated myself because I do all these videos without a take and without a script. What you see is what you get. If you don't like it, well, there's other videos you can go watch, but this is raw, this is real, this is what's happening, and this is my take on things. So she hasn't been run today. Shall we risk it? Shall we try and start her? She's cold. I just wheeled her out the workshop. Let's give it a go. Let's turn her on. Turn the main battery on. Turn the battery on. Turn all my circuits on. Avert your eyes for a moment. Oops. While I turn on the secret switch. Okay, so we've got idiot lights. We should be good to go. So we'll give her a bit of choke. Turn the gas on, turn the petrol on. Excuse me, I'm one-handed. She likes a bit of a tickle. And who doesn't like tickling Italian ladies? So I just bring a bit of gas out of there. Yep, just got the first dribble of gas, not too much because it washes the paint off the engine. A little bit more. Okay, that's there. Is she in neutral? Yeah, she's in neutral. Okay, so one-handed. Let's see what happens. Not bad, eh? Oh, she's a little bit cold-blooded. She likes to warm up, like most is you have to warm them up a little bit. The throttle you can wind on. There's a screw underneath, so I've wound it on so it's a little bit stiff. We'll just leave it like that. Spitting a bit on one cylinder on the left hand side. Take the choke off now. Well, she sounds pretty nice. You notice the charge light works. It's gone out. This is the ignition. There's absolutely nothing. Neutral light works, main beam light works, oil pressure light works. I didn't show you the turn signals last time. But they do work. So there you go, the bike is almost done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the videos and got a little bit of something out of them. I've certainly enjoyed making them. I'm not asking anybody for anything, I'm just passing this on as a bit of knowledge, a bit of amusement for some, the horrified of purists, etc, etc. It's all a bit of fun. It's motorcycles, it's been a big part of my life. I love the damn things and I hope other people do too. Anyway, so until next time, it's goodbye from him. It's goodbye from the Guzzi dog who's sleeping in the shade, so I won't disturb her. So we'll turn the bike off. And until next time, I may have a bit of a surprise for you when you see the next bike. Until next time, take care of yourselves, look after one another, keep the rubber side down, keep your Guzzi side up, keep everything shiny, enjoy your summer riding. Goodbye.